So I'm going to be 100% honest here. The Fever can't afford to run it back. They can't. They simply put, do not have the funds to... why does every time I go into roster, does it send up a freaking AI question? But they don't have the funds to put their team together. Again. So I'm going to guess what these players are going to cost. I'm going to tell you what it will cost for the Fever to run it back. Before we get on to it, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are trying to hit 57,750 subscribers by the end of the day. We are 46 off. So Kelsey Mitchell is not... I highly doubt Kelsey Mitchell is going to...
Those financial reports landed with devastating impact, and organizational leadership suddenly confronted their worst nightmare scenario. The Indiana Fever's executive team examined projected 2026 expenditures only to discover they were reviewing what amounted to fiscal catastrophe documentation. Alternative solutions don't exist, emergency funding remains unavailable, and aspirations of maintaining Caitlin Clark's supporting ensemble have completely evaporated because mathematical realities absolutely refuse cooperation. This transcends simple roster adjustments and represents complete abandonment of the franchise's established character. Management finds themselves experiencing unprecedented alarm levels as understanding dawns that dismantling their championship-caliber foundation might become necessary before reaching maximum competitive potential. This situation extends far beyond temporary complications into comprehensive institutional emergency territory that threatens everything previously assumed regarding organizational trajectory.
57,750 subscribers by the end of the day. We are 46 off. So Kelsey Mitchell is not... I highly doubt Kelsey Mitchell is going to play for 1 cent less than the Supermax. And I have a feeling she is going to be used, the core designation is going to be used on Kelsey Mitchell to guarantee she stays, and it will be a Supermax for Kelsey Mitchell because there's one more year of the core designation. So with that, we are looking at $1.4 million for Kelsey Mitchell's contract. Odyssey Sims is not going to be coming back. Shout out Odyssey Sims, 27 points in Game 5 of the semi-final.
Complete transparency becomes essential because circumstances have reached critical status. The Indiana Fever absolutely lacks financial capacity for maintaining current roster composition through 2026. Enthusiasts continuously discuss team chemistry and championship legacy construction, while completely ignoring harsh numerical constraints that regulate league operations. Player compensation cannot rely on optimistic projections and aspirational thinking. Yet currently the Fever confront treasury accounts showing complete depletion. Ownership consortium has arrived at decision points requiring choices between retaining marquee talent versus maintaining functional reserve players. Zero-sum mathematical equations emerge where veteran player investments directly subtract resources from assistance Caitlin Clark urgently requires. Confidential communications are surfacing, while internal reports describe organizational conditions as complete uncontrolled pandemonium.
Her skill set clashes with Caitlin Clark, Leah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell. If Caitlin Clark is going to be traded, which we know she's not going to be, but obviously in this weird hypothetical, and someone's trying to sabotage the team, and they pull in Nico Harrison, Odyssey Sims would be great to have back. Odyssey Sims in the open market, based on how she did last year, is probably going to command... My guess is, if I'm going to guess, the median contract in the league is going to be about 450k. I would say she's going to command about 500-ish k, a little bit over the median. As will Ari McDonald. The problem with Ari McDonald is she has not been injured, or she has not been healthy at all in her career. I'm going to say they're not going to keep Odyssey Sims, but I'm also...
Initial significant consequence involves Kelsey Mitchell, whose financial demands will create seismic disruptions throughout administrative offices. Absolutely zero possibility exists for her accepting compensation below Supermax thresholds. Financial commitment discussions involve $1.4 million obligations simply for retaining her Indiana uniform and preventing unrestricted departure. Management will almost inevitably utilize core player designation protocols concerning her situation. This strategy essentially restricts her movement while simultaneously constraining organizational salary cap flexibility within crushing limitations. Massive budgetary portions disappear before even addressing secondary roster positions. High-risk speculation emerges that numerous ownership representatives increasingly oppose, expressing concerns about creating top-heavy roster imbalances.
Heavy and vulnerable.
To give money to injured players. It's very, very rare. Bree Hall won't be coming back, so let's just ignore her. Shea Petty won't be coming back. Natasha Howard. So, Natasha Howard is going to want a max contract. She's not going to deserve a max contract. Some dumb team is going to give her a max contract. My expectation is that somewhere Natasha Howard is going to make 900k. And I don't think people want the Indiana Fever to run it back with Natasha Howard, but I have a feeling they're going to run it back. They're going to try to run it back with Howard. I have this really bad feeling they're going to try to run it back with Howard. Then you've got Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston's contract is going to be, she's going to make the max.
However, pandemonium extends beyond superstar contractual situations, as mid-tier talent creates genuine administrative complications. Consider Odyssey Sims specifically. Despite remarkable individual performances, including those 27-point explosive displays, departure seems virtually guaranteed. Reasoning centers on her playing style, creating excessive conflicts with Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston's developmental blueprint. Open market evaluation based on recent productivity suggests compensation demands exceeding median contractual ranges significantly. Financial projections indicate $500,000 requirements for personnel who potentially obstruct franchise cornerstone advancement. Ownership examination of such expenditure proposals results in absolute rejection, justifying substantial monetary commitments for players incompatible with long-term organizational vision becomes impossible.
Caitlin Clark right now is going to be at 500k. So you're looking at then, so we've got one player here in Caitlin, 2 in Lexi, 3 in Sophie, 4 in Leah, 5 in Howard, 6 in Ari, 7 in Kelsey Mitchell. You now no longer have, there is now, for a 7 million salary cap, this is just, again, based on my expectations. You now have to fill out the entire team with vet minimum players or lower, and you can't afford your first round pick.
Maintaining current composition reveals heartbreaking bench rotation realities involving players like Ari McDonald. Central issues don't concern talent levels, but rather consistent availability problems. Throughout her professional career, she has experienced persistent health challenges, and the Fever cannot afford uncertainty gambling anymore. Despite solid court contributions during actual playing time, ownership hesitates committing $500,000 contracts to someone potentially spending half seasons in rehabilitation programs. Business brutality emerges, yet WNBA demonstrates peculiar tendencies towards substantial injured player investments, while Fever ownership finally establishes firm boundaries. Exhaustion grows regarding payments for productivity that never materializes during critical playoff moments.
To run it back means the Fever literally, and that is by the way, undershooting what these players are going to go for. They're going to go for more money than this. I'm undershooting this. The remaining 5 players with Indiana Fever have to be vet minimums, which means that it doesn't matter who's that 10th pick is, they can't afford to keep them. Players on this team that will be vet minimums. KK Timpson is going to cost about 300k. I think she's going to cost the minimum if you keep KK Timpson. We have seen that Sid Colson and Bree Turner are going to command more than the minimum. Why?
Natasha Howard's circumstances present even more explosive complications. Speculation suggests maximum contract demands despite recent performance not necessarily warranting such substantial organizational investment. Fever management fears concerning potentially foolish franchise offering such compensation, forcing Indiana into overpayment situations, or losing crucial interior defensive components. Expectations point toward $900,000 compensation packages. Current ownership unanimously rejects matching equivalent proposals. Prevailing sentiment suggests maintaining Howard through roster continuity approaches will create financial dead-end scenarios. Standoff situations could fragment locker room unity while leaving supporters questioning interior defensive protection strategies.
They might have to let Sophie or Lexi walk. And running it back is not even an option. Like, they might literally have to keep their first round pick, they might have to get rid of Kelsey Mitchell. Like, that is the extent of the financial issues, that they might actually have to get rid of Kelsey Mitchell to keep their first overall pick. With a lot of this team building, it becomes awkward. And then you take into account that Caitlin Clark's on a max next year. Like, you can't keep Kelsey Mitchell in 2027. And if you keep Kelsey Mitchell in 2027, someone did the maths and they're like,
Organizational foundation discussion centers on Aaliyah Boston, whose contractual situation approaches rapidly and maximum compensation acceptance seems guaranteed. Additional $1.2 million budget elimination occurs instantaneously. Combining her totals with Kelsey Mitchell's Supermax creates nearly $3 million commitments for merely 2 personnel. Role player considerations haven't commenced yet. Budget constraints already demand mercy. Ownership reviews these calculations, recognizing House of Cards construction methodology. Individual player injuries or performance decline trigger complete structural collapse because remaining funds cannot purchase quality depth insurance policies. Boston's MVP-level performance pressure reaches astronomical proportions.
If you do what the Phoenix Mercury did last year. Except you're not going to be able to sign a Sammy Wickham. Basically do what the Mercury did last year. And the Indiana Fever are I'm not going to say the worst scouting team, but are up there in the worst scouting teams. They scout like it's 2015 again. So them, the Aces, the Sky, they don't scout overseas. They don't look for these players like someone, like you even look at the Lynx, like they brought in Badian last year, who would have been fucking great for most teams. She just didn't want to come back after Eurobasket. There is a lot of talent overseas that you're going to have to look for, and the Fever aren't going to look for that. So what the Fever are going to end up doing is you're going to end up getting a bunch of...
Mathematical projections become increasingly terrifying, examining fan favorites Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hall. Sophie's retention below league average compensation simply won't happen. Personal value recognition exists. Potential hometown discounts might provide minimal relief, yet competitive offers approaching $700,000 ranges seem inevitable. Absolute minimum Fever retention hopes center around $500,000 thresholds. Lexi Hall's restricted free agent status potentially generates higher earnings through aggressive external franchise pursuit. Ownership confronts 2 role players easily commanding combined million-dollar investments. Roster continuity dreams experience slow, expensive deterioration. Then Caitlin Clark herself represents ultimate consideration. Current $500,000 allocation serves as placeholder for inevitable massive compensation increases. 7 or 8 key players quickly approach $7 million salary cap limitations. Literally 0 remaining funds exist for additional personnel. Ownership envisions 7-person rosters with completely depleted treasuries. Remaining 5 roster positions require veteran minimum contracts or rookie selections. Even maintaining first-round draft selections becomes impossible because slotted salaries create financial catastrophe threshold breaches. True chaos manifestation begins within administrative offices. Retaining first overall selections might force unthinkable actions of coring and trading Kelsey Mitchell. Consider implications carefully. Franchise potentially eliminates league's premier scorers, simply affording rookies lacking professional experience. Ownership reportedly experiences division, with some demanding proven star retention, while others insist salary cap realities make her expendable. Behind-scenes civil warfare threatens derailing entire 2026 campaigns before 2025 seasons conclude. Franchise stability experiences foundational disruption. 2027 projections appear bleaker, creating desperation-level urgency. Caitlin Clark's true maximum contract transition eliminates team financial flexibility entirely. Mathematical calculations reveal even Clark, Mitchell, and Boston accepting regular maximum deals instead of super maximum arrangements still requires remaining personnel accepting league minimum compensation. Essentially, 3 stars play 40-minute contests because bench composition includes players probably unworthy of league participation. Phoenix Mercury trap scenarios emerge while Fever ownership fears historical repetition. Approaching cliffs become visible while management screams for directional corrections. Additional complications emerge through Indiana Fever's reputation as professional basketball's worst scouting organization. 2015-era methodologies persist, emphasizing domestic talent exclusively while competitors embrace global approaches. Aces and Sky pursue overseas opportunities, discovering hidden gems providing high-level contributions at low-cost structures. Meanwhile, Fever administrative offices seem trapped in temporal distortions. International breakout star searches don't occur. Instead, identical recycled American role players previously departed from league consideration 3 years prior receive attention. Ownership expresses disgust toward innovation deficiencies and demands complete scouting department overhauls. Overseas scouting failures represent massive strategic blunders costing millions in potential value. Teams like Minnesota recruit talent perfectly fitting Indiana's systems, yet those players avoid organizations feeling historically stagnant. European and Australian talent wealth could fill veteran minimum positions with genuine quality, but Fever lack connections or vision for recruitment. Instead, below-average players excelling decades ago but completely depleted will compose rosters. First-round elimination recipes and Caitlin Clark prime year's waste result. Even locker room leadership becomes financial burden ownership refuses carrying. Players like Sid Colson and Bray Turner provide incredible veteran presence but command above-league minimum compensation. Developing teams desperately pursue leadership and overpay acquisition costs. Fever cannot afford bidding wars for personnel lacking significant statistical court contributions. Cold calculations prioritize on-court production per dollar over culture and leadership. Philosophical shifts create massive rifts between players and administrative personnel, generating toxic environments. Temi Fagbenle situations exemplify organizational inability maintaining known commodities. Brilliance flashes occurred, yet tight financial landscapes transform her into unaffordable luxury items. Unless players accept absolute bare minimum compensation, departure becomes inevitable. Ownership instructs general management stopping name recognition and emphasizing price tag evaluations. Players feel like ledger numbers rather than family members. Fever ecosystem everyone praised last year experiences piece-by-piece dismantling, favoring brutal bottom-line approaches, creating universal anxiety. Previous movie viewings rarely generate happy conclusions. Stars and Scrubs model survival attempts eventually burn out stars while exposing Scrubs. Phoenix Mercury attempted this, becoming laughingstocks while stars struggled, carrying entire franchise weight. Fever ownership confronts identical destinies. Current roster rejection occurs because trap recognition exists. Immediate demolition and sustainable construction attempts seem preferable over 2026 entries featuring no depth, no bench, and no playoff run survival hopes. Radical, painful choices emerge, yet their perspective suggests singular forward pathways. Tensions reached boiling points during recent strategy meetings discussing first-round selections. Scouts express excitement regarding 10th pick talent availability, yet accountants declare literal signing impossibility. Imagine franchises passing top-tier prospects because 3 veterans consumed all available funds. Professional sports teams experience embarrassing situations. Ownership blames administrative offices for poor salary cap management, while front offices blame ownership for luxury tax avoidance. Nobody accepts responsibility while players experience crossfire positioning. Fan frustration intensifies because talent clearly exists. Team competition capabilities against anyone during optimal performance became evident, yet WNBA financial structures aren't designed for 3 or 4 maximum contract player retention. Caitlin Clark effects generated increased revenue without changing salary cap regulations. Ownership frustration grows from record profits while poverty-level cap space restrictions continue. League punishment for success feelings emerge while roster construction frustration manifests. Mess resolution won't occur soon. Rumors circulate suggesting several key players already received alternative opportunity search instructions. Chaos isn't merely headline material but daily athlete realities. Imagine game preparation knowing regardless of performance quality, organizational decisions already determined next year's affordability impossibility. Uncertainty destroys team chemistry faster than anything else. Ownership's 2026 roster rejection created lame duck atmospheres threatening current season destruction. Why sacrifice for loose balls or play through injuries knowing vet minimum player replacements await in months? Scouting department evolution refusal perhaps represents biggest hidden scandal throughout entire situations. While teams like Aces maintain sophisticated data analytics and international networks, Fever reportedly rely on outdated methodologies. Second-tier international league examinations don't occur where high-value role players often hide. High-end boutique shopping with thrift store budgets essentially describes current approaches. Ownership finally noticed discrepancies and demands explanations for cheaper, better alternative absence overseas. Answers usually combine laziness with vision deficiencies, precisely explaining financial hole creation. Fever decisions regarding Kelsey Mitchell trades will generate nuclear fanbase backlash. She represents team heart and soul. Trading her for balanced books would constitute highest-order betrayals. Yet ownership examination of 2027 max Caitlin Clark contracts reveals choiceless situations. Either trade Mitchell now receiving value returns or lose her later for nothing while remaining financially depleted. Damned if you do, damned if you don't scenarios paralyze front offices. Chaos reality, palpable fear, and Indiana Fever futures never appeared more uncertain. Ultimately, teams become victims of their own potential. Greatest prospect drafting in history occurred without foresight for managing financial fallout accompanying such magnitude superstars. Ownership rejects 2026 rosters because cliff visibility finally emerged. Financial survival choices over roster continuity create ugly results. Fans should prepare for massive talent exodus. Today's Indiana Fever won't exist in 2026. Remaining questions concern whether Caitlin Clark can achieve championships with minimum wage rosters. Ultimate tragedy involves specific player group window closures before true openings occurred. Clark, Boston, and Mitchell dynasty growth possibilities existed. Yet accountants already decided opportunity denial. Professional sports reminder that most important battles don't always occur on courts. Sometimes boardroom losses with calculators and red pens determine outcomes. Indiana Fever experiences total chaos. While ownership might save short-term dollars, they potentially cost immortality chances. Clock ticking continues while next month's decisions echo for years.